All Americans, not only in the states most heavily affected, but in every place in this country, are rightly disturbed by the large numbers of illegal aliens entering our country. The jobs they hold might otherwise be held by citizens or legal immigrants. The public service they use impose burdens on our taxpayers. That's why our administration has moved aggressively to secure our borders more, by hiring a record number of new border guards, by deporting twice as many criminal aliens as ever before, by cracking down on illegal hiring, by barring welfare benefits to illegal aliens. In the budget I will present to you, we will try to do more to speed the deportation of illegal aliens who are arrested for crimes, to better identify illegal aliens in the workplace as recommended by the commission headed by former Congresswoman Barbara Jordan. We are a nation of immigrants, but we are also a nation of laws. It is wrong and ultimately self-defeating for a nation of immigrants to permit the kind of abuse of our immigration laws we have seen in recent years, and we must do more to stop it.
We are a generous and welcoming people here in the United States, but those who enter the country illegally and those who employ them disrespect the rule of law, and they are showing disregard for those who are following the law. We simply cannot allow people to pour into the United States undetected, undocumented, unchecked, and circumventing the line of people who are waiting patiently, diligently, and lawfully to become immigrants.
Okay, what's going on, everybody? We are here, we're live. Thank you all for joining me this afternoon. If you haven't already, please make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel, and most importantly, please make sure you are following me on Telegram at TD Media Group to help circumvent social media censorship and shadow banning. You will never miss a notification. Like Papa Onaya Shelley never misses a notification if you're following me on Telegram. You don't have to worry about YouTube nonsense. Oh, they unsubscribed me, blah, 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 blah. If you're on Telegram, you'll always get that notification. And with the introduction out of the way, let's get into today's show, man. I typically, for those of you who are subscribers, don't go live on the weekend unless it's breaking news, right? Something huge has happened. And this is definitely not breaking news, but I will say that this is a celebration. This is definitely a celebratory time because our good friend of the channel, Leonel Moreno, has finally been deported. This is a story that we've been tracking here since the moment basically that he touched down in America. This guy who's from Venezuela was an illegal immigrant influencer on TikTok who made a lot of money on TikTok trolling. And he would troll American citizens, flashing his money that he receives from us, the taxpayers. And he would go on TikTok and go, aha, you guys have to work hard for your money. You all work like slaves, and I get to live off of taxpayer dollars. I'm making all this money, living good off of tax money and off of your hard work, while you American citizens are working like slaves. He was a big time troll. So on top of, once again, making money, a lot of money, by the way, thousands of dollars a month on TikTok, he was at the same time getting our taxpayer dollars while throwing it in our face. But inevitably, he ended up getting caught up by ICE. And, you know, he started crying. He was crying behind the detention center walls. You know, his wife was crying, talking about, what about our kid? You know how a lot of these folks like to do. They like to weaponize the children. You know, if I get locked up in jail, nobody cares about what's going to happen to my son. So that's just kind of how it works. But yeah, he's finally deported. He's finally deported. And I want to play a clip here of him trolling. This is one of many clips where this guy used to troll. And like I said, he would just throw it in our face that he was living good off of Biden and our tax dollars, right? Let me pull this up for you guys right now, and then we're going to keep it moving. This is going to be him speaking in Spanish and whatnot, but the subtitles are going to be at the bottom of the video. And this is just one of his videos where he's trolling, talking about, I'm making money off of, you know, living off of your hard work. while you guys work like slaves. Look at this here.
Que yo facture más que ustedes sin necesidad de andar como esclavos. ¿Capichi? Esa es la diferencia tuya y mía. Que yo siempre voy a hacer dinero sin mucho trabajo.
I'll play that one more time. He said, Capichi, you got it? You guys are working like slaves, while I make money doing minimal work. Capichi. Let's play that one more time, douchebag. You're gone.
Es que yo facture más que ustedes sin necesidad de andar como esclavos. ¿Capichi? Esa es la diferencia tuya y mía. Que yo siempre voy a hacer dinero sin mucho trabajo.
Well, it looks like you got deported. Capichi? Like I said, today isn't a serious stream. This is just more of a celebration. Oh, look at his face. It looks like you got deported. You had to go back home. Capichi? Yes, today is a wonderful day, ladies and gentlemen. Today's a wonderful. Is there another photo of him looking not so happy? There has to be one. Oh, there he is when he first got off the plane. Right back to Venezuela you go. These are the kind of people that Jasmine Crockett, AOC, are fighting to keep here. Freeloaders like this. This guy came here just to freeload and live off of tax dollars at our expense and throw it in our face and make fun of us about it. I want to get into another clip right now too. I just want to get into some more, just kind of old news or whatever, but like clips concerning him encouraging illegal immigrants to squat. Right. That was another big thing with him too. He would go on live streams and you can say he would educate other illegal immigrants on how to game the system. Right. And if you all remember during the migrant crisis, right, in the Biden era, squatting was a big thing. It was especially in New York City. Squatting was a huge thing, where a lot of these Leonel Morenos of the world were squatting in homes. And what he would do on his live streams would essentially teach other illegal immigrants how to squat, and essentially how to steal homes. So let's get into that real quick too. Give me a second. Let me pull this video up. And while I'm doing that, please hit the like button if you haven't already. That is extremely important. And yeah, so he said that dude looks scared in his eyes. He does, doesn't he? That he looks like he does not want to be back home. One of the things that I remember when he was arrested and caught, as he had the audacity to say during the prison phone call when he was being interviewed by the New York Post, he said, "I'm under persecution." I remember he said, "I fled persecution in Venezuela only to be persecuted in the United States. I have rights. I know my rights, and I'm being persecuted." Knock it off, man. Knock it off. There was no persecution here. For those of you who don't know, the reason that he got caught up and deported, it wasn't because he was trolling. Because, I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, trolling isn't a crime, right? It's not a crime to troll and just kind of make fun of people on the internet. But he had his, what would you call it, the asylum hearing, and he didn't show up to the hearing. Right, because he wasn't, seeking asylum. He was looking to freeload, and like many folks, he didn't show up to the asylum hearing. Right, he didn't show up to his asylum hearing. So at that point, you're essentially marked for immediate deportation. If he would have went to his asylum hearing, he would have most likely got rejected anyways. If I'm not mistaken, according to Tom Homan, and all reports even before Tom Homan, but somewhere around, I want to say 80%, if not higher, and I do believe it's higher, but I'm being conservative with it. Around 80% of those asylum court hearings get rejected, because these guys aren't seeking genuine asylum. They're not actually in fear of their life, right? People like Moreno just came to the country, essentially in his case, to freeload, right? And that's not asylum seeking. But let's get into, like I said, the clip now of him teaching illegal immigrants how to squat in homes and steal houses. So let me pull that up for you guys right now. Give me just a moment, and subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel. And once again, don't forget, please follow me on Telegram at TD Media Group. The link to my Telegram's in the description box below, and it'll be pinned in the comment section once the stream is over. And here's the video. Let's get into this.
A Venezuelan national dubbed the migrant influencer is at the center of controversy this morning. He has been using TikTok to coach migrants how to live in the U.S. by taking advantage of laws protecting squatters. Hannah Doba reports. In his most recent controversial TikTok video, Moreno is telling his followers to avoid living on the streets in the United States. They can, quote, invade empty homes and live there, saying under U.S. law, if a house is uninhabited, it can be seized, referring to squatting rights in our country. That video garnered almost 4 million views.
As we have more migrants moving into cities, more homelessness, we are going to see more of it, more squatting.
James Burling is a property rights attorney.
But they're talking about all the advantages that you can get from squatting. It's inevitable that it's going to increase.
In past videos, the illegal migrant bragged that he came to the United States to vacation and now lives off U.S. taxpayers because he had a child in this country. He also tells his followers that he waits for a...
You see how folks like him weaponize the whole thing about having children? Weaponize it like crazy. And then people like him and DNC lunatics like AOC and Jasmine Crockett, they'll try to throw it in your face as some shield to prevent deportation. And I've said it so many times. That's probably the thing that irritates me the most. And you guys have heard me repeat this over and over and over and over and over again. If I do anything or commit any type of crime or put myself in some sort of position where the authorities take me away, no one's going to cry and say, well, what about TD's son? And how's his life going to turn out now that TD's no longer in his son's life and has been removed and separated, right? Family separation. Nobody cares. If you're dumb enough to put yourself in a position to get arrested, then whatever happens, happens. That's up to you to figure out. So on the opposite end of it, stop throwing other people's children in my face and using that as some sort of defense mechanism as to why somebody shouldn't be deported or put in jail. I personally take offense to that. I personally take offense to it because you wouldn't care if it was me and if it was my son. But anyways, I digress.
Came to the United States to vacation and now lives off U.S. taxpayers because he had a child in this country. He also tells his followers that he waits for Americans' hard-earned pension checks to come in every month. In another video, he is urging fellow Venezuelans to pay the fines of a 15-year-old migrant who allegedly shot a tourist in Times Square, saying, quote, today it could be him, tomorrow it could be one of you. But this recent video on squatting is making headlines as Moreno tells his comrades that if they fix up an abandoned home that is deteriorated or in bad condition, they can get credits when the properties are sold.
I actually forgot about that story. That the illegal immigrant, the 15-year-old in New York, who went into a store, got caught trying to steal. When a security guard tried to stop him, he started firing at the security guard and actually struck a tourist in the leg that was trying to pay for their items. That person survived, thank God. And then what does this guy do? He comes out in support of the illegal immigrant that was shooting, at the security guard and missed. And hit it was a female and if I'm not mistaken too, it was a female security guard that tried to stop him, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong on that, but if I remember correctly, it was a female security guard that tried. So this guy, this 15-year-old lunatic, he's out here firing at women, you know what I mean? And could care less. And you had this guy who's basically out here showing support for him, trying to raise money for him, saying it starts with him, but pretty soon it's going to be us. Well, looks like it's you now because you're gone. Anyways, we're going to shut this thing down really soon. Like I said, this was just a celebratory stream to close this chapter out of Biden's migrant crisis.
As Moreno tells his comrade, 15-year-old migrant who allegedly shot a tourist in Times Square, saying, quote, today it could be him, tomorrow it could be one of you. But this recent video on squatting is making headlines as Moreno tells his comrades that if they fix up an abandoned home that is deteriorated or in bad condition, they can get credits when the properties are sold. While Burling says that is not the case, the misinformation is now out there.
Well, I think publicity, like what we're seeing in TikTok and viral videos of that nature, are going to magnify the idea that squatting is an alternative to not having enough housing.
And the whole thing with squatting, I used to do so many of those stories, man. I did so many of those stories during the Biden era. You could say the migrant crisis era. And I remember there was one particularly in New York where a couple New York
But
residents,
this recent video,
right, actually lost their lives. They got shot and killed, by illegal immigrant squatters in an apartment complex that didn't want to leave, right? They didn't want to leave, and they were harassing one of the women in the complex. When some guys confronted the illegal immigrant squatters, a scuffle broke out, and one of them pulled out a gun, right? The illegal immigrant squatters, and started firing. And I believe he took the lives of 2 New Yorkers, right? 2 New Yorkers, American citizens, right? So this was actually a really big deal at the time during the Biden era, that mainstream media, as far as, mainstream media, when I say mainstream media, I'm talking about, the left, right? The DNC propaganda wing, MSNBC, ABC, CBS, CNN, they weren't covering any of this stuff. They would refuse to talk about it. But it was actually a big deal at the time. It was actually a big deal at the time. But now he's gone. And the thing is, when you really sit and think about it, man, if Harris had won, right? Let me pull this down. Well, I'll just leave this up here. If Harris won, this guy would be back out on the streets right now, trolling harder than ever, making fun of American citizens harder than ever. Really think about that. If Harris won, this guy would have never gotten deported. And eventually ICE would have just released him, because he just can't, I guess, detain indefinitely. Either you're going to deport him or you're going to release him. And he would have been out here back on TikTok, throwing it in our faces that he's living good and living great off of our tax dollars, because he has a kid and all this other type of stuff. But fortunately for us, Kamala lost in a bloodbath. It was a bloodbath, not even close. And now, pull this clip of him up as we exit out the stream. This is him now. Let me pull this up. Give me just a second. This is him now. He's gone, deported, miserable. You can see the fear and despair in his eyes. Welcome back to Venezuela, where you belong, because you didn't come over here to work hard. You didn't come over here to change your life or anything like that, even though that's not even a proper asylum claim. Coming to change my life and work, that's not a proper asylum claim. But you didn't come here for any of that. You came here to freeload and throw it in our faces, and it looks like it backfired. And now you're right where you belong, in Venezuela, back home. And with all that being said, that does it for today's stream. Like I said, this was a serious one. This was just a celebratory stream. We can close this chapter of the Biden migrant crisis, right? Leonel Moreno is gone, and today is a beautiful day because of it. So thank you guys for joining me today. Shout out to my man Saul, who came through one more time. He said probably scammed the wrong people in Venezuela. I wouldn't be surprised. He was scamming and scheming while he was here. I'm sure he was doing that back home. And now he's going to have to probably face that once he hits the streets in Venezuela. He's going to have to probably face that now that he's back home. But anyways, man, thank you guys for showing support. My man Saul coming through as you always do. I appreciate you, bro. Thank you guys for joining me today on this special Sunday stream. Please hit the like button on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel. Share this video on your social media platforms. Follow me on Telegram. That is extremely important, at TD Media Group. The link is in the description box below and pinned in the comment section as well. If you're following me on Rumble, shout out to you guys watching me on Rumble right now, and shout out to you guys that are watching me on X, all 20 of you on X. Please retweet this, re-X this, repost this, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace, and have a great afternoon if you're on the West Coast like me, and a great evening if you're on the East Coast or Midwest. I'll catch you guys later. Bye.